Hello, I would like to welcome everyone and thank you for being here for our presentation on our shipping system project specification document. Today, this presentation will cover an introduction to the project, a general description of the project, the system features or functions of the shipping system, and the external interface requirements needed to successfully implement the system. We are going to start the presentation with a brief introduction that will provide background information and an overview of the specification document. The Shipping Systems Project Specification document serves several purposes. It will detail the system requirements both for creation and maintenance of the system. It will explain the scope of the project and also the purpose of the system and the functions that will fulfill that purpose. And the document is intended for a specific audience, namely management, systems developers, and systems engineers. Currently, the company experiences a number of challenges with the shipping that is done manually, including consumption of time and also mistakes in shipping that can be attributed to human error. The shipping system would identify the supplies that needed to be shipped. It would track the supplies and also identify supplies for return. And it would alert employees to action items through the company email. Before we proceed, there are a number of definitions that I would like to go over that may be helpful as you go through the document and through this presentation. For the purposes of the document and this presentation, an area manager will be the employee in charge of hiring independent contractor instructors in a given area and assigning the instructors to classes. An independent contractor instructor is the person physically present at the school teaching the class. Shipping employee and shipping personnel will be used interchangeably in the document and this presentation. And this is the employee working in the shipping department that physically prepares the supplies. Finally, a class is a 6 to 12-week session held at a school and taught by an independent contractor instructor. Classes are either drama, Spanish, guitar, chess, computer, coding, or engineering. We are now going to move on to a general description of the system, which will include an introduction to systems functions, user characteristics, and system security. This system, the shipping system, is specifically designed for Fun for Kids, Inc. We are able to tailor the system to the organization and thus will be the best fit to meet our organization's needs. Across the organization, the shipping system will need to interface with other systems, including the employee management system and the client management system. Outside of our organization, the system will need to interface with the third-party shipping vendor's tracking system. The system has 6 main functions, the first of which is to retrieve a list daily of potential shipments. Also retrieve a daily shipment or daily scheduled shipment list. It will create shipping labels, track shipments, assign shipments, and facilitate the return of shipments. For our first 2 bullets, the difference is the first list are all shipments that could be sent. The second are all shipments that are going to be sent. And the shipments that are going to be sent are identified by the area managers. On the next 2 slides, we have included the process flows for each of the 6 functions. We are not going to go through in detail all 6 functions, but you can see they all start with an action item or one of the functions. The first one is retrieving potential shipments. They go through each step in the process and also each decision that needs to be made along the way. On this slide, we also have creating labels and retrieving scheduled shipments. On our second slide, we have the process flows for returning supplies, tracking supplies, and assigning supplies to an independent contractor instructor. There are 3 users that have been identified as the main users of this system. The first is the shipping employee, who will work with tracking the supplies, scheduling the shipments, and creating return shipping labels. The second is the area manager, who will work with all of the functions within the shipping system. And this is followed by the senior manager, who will also work with all of the functions within the system. On the next slide, we'll be taking a look at a security matrix that will identify the level of access that each user will have to the different functions. So as you can see from this slide, there are 4 levels of access for each function: reading, updating, creating, and deleting. The shipping employee will have the ability to read shipment status and update shipment status, also to read and update schedule shipments, and then we'll have all 4 levels of access with the shipping labels. The reason the shipping employee has all 4 levels of access with the shipping labels is so that if a mistake is made, it doesn't need to get moved up the chain to management. The area manager and the senior manager are able to read all of the 6 entities or data types. The senior manager is the only person who has the ability to delete any types of data besides shipping labels. And the area manager is the only one who has the ability to create anything besides shipping labels. Other than that, they are able to read and update as indicated. There are a few constraints that have been identified for the system. The first is that it requires all employees to have access to company email and access to company systems. There are also a few assumptions that were made in designing the system. These are that employees regularly check their email, employees have been trained in shipping standards, school clients are active communicators in tracking supplies, all systems have up-to-date information. This is incredibly important, as you will see, because supplies cannot be assigned to an independent contractor and instructor if they are not in the employee system. Supplies can't be shipped to a school if the address is incorrect in the client management system. We're also assuming that independent contractor instructors will promptly return supplies. There's only one dependency that has been identified, and that is that the shipping system is dependent on the third-party shipping vendor's tracking. An 18-week timeline was established for this project, as you will see on the next slide, with a sample of the schedule from the Gantt chart that was created. If the project is falling behind the 18-week schedule, the tracking feature in the shipping system could be pushed off to the second release of the system. The tracking system is independent of the other functions and not necessary for the first release. As I just stated, a Gantt chart was created with a schedule of the entire project process. The entire project is scheduled to last 18 weeks, including implementation and testing. Next, we are going to take a look at the 6 system functions or features of the shipping system. As we discussed, the first function of the system will be that the area manager retrieves a list of potential shipments for a given area. This function is required for the first release of the system. When the area manager retrieves the list, they will select any shipments they do not want to ship. After they have completed this, an automated email will be sent to shipping personnel letting them know shipments have been scheduled. The shipping personnel will retrieve a daily scheduled shipments list. They will select a type of supplies to pack and will track the progress of packaging the supplies using toggles in the shipping system to mark supplies as either in progress or complete. The shipping personnel will then need to create shipping labels for all shipments that have been packed, and this will also be facilitated by the system. After the supplies have been picked up and are in transit, the system will track the supplies. As we said earlier, this is a secondary priority and could be included in a second release of the system. Once the supplies have arrived at the school, they will be marked as delivered. The system will send an alert to shipping personnel and the appropriate area manager if the supplies are delayed. And once the shipping personnel has been able to confirm that the supplies have been received, they will be marked as such in the shipping system. Area managers will be able to assign supplies to the independent contractor instructors. They will do this by logging into the system. Once the supplies have been received, they will receive a notification of this. Once the instructor has been assigned in the system, the payroll department will also receive an automated email notifying them that a supply deposit needs to be taken or withheld from the independent contractor instructor's check. The final function of the system will be to facilitate the return of supplies. This will involve the shipping personnel sending return shipping labels and also receiving and marking supplies as received in the system once they have been returned to the office and to the shipping center. The system will have some external interface requirements, and we're going to discuss those next. The system was designed so that the user interface is easy to use. It is simple and streamlined, which will make it as efficient as possible. The system also has a number of checks and balances in place, including arrows and confirmation pop-up windows. These were included to decrease errors. There are 6 main sections of the user interface, and these 6 sections align with the 6 system functions we just discussed. This slide contains an example of one page from the shipping system. Across the top, there are breadcrumbs that can be used by the user to navigate through the system. You can also see there are a number of tabs for navigation, and masks have been included for dates to ensure consistency and continuity. The system, as we have discussed, will need to interface with the employee management system and the client management system, as well as the company email. And our entity relationship diagram below explains why. A shipment will need to be sent to a school, so the system will need to interface with the client management system. Shipments will need to be assigned to instructors, so the system will need to interface with the employee management system. And then anytime there is an action item, as we said, an email will be sent to the appropriate employee, which is why the system needs to interface with the company email. In our architecture for our shipping system, down at the bottom in the data access layer, you can see the 3 systems that the shipping system needs to interface with. So in conclusion, the specification document is to be used for the creation and maintenance of the shipping system, and it will be utilized by management, system developers, and system engineers. And the shipping system should be completed within 18 weeks. If the system falls behind on schedule, the tracking function can be temporarily removed and included in a second release of the system. There are 6 main functions covered in the specification document that will make the system run. These 6 functions are designed to increase efficiency and decrease error due to human mistakes. The 3 users or user types for the system, as identified by the document, are shipping personnel, area managers, and senior managers. The system will need to interface with other systems, including the company email, the third-party shipping vendor, the client management system, and the employee management system. At this time, we will open it up for questions, and thank you very much for your attention.